Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Noach, a tale of two realities. If we look in Parshat Noach, we imagine on the one hand that this is all about reward and punishment. I heard from Rabbi Soloveitchik of blessed memory that this Parsha has a theme of reward and punishment. That what we should be thinking about this Shabbat is reward and punishment. So, from that perspective, Noach's all about the idea that the people of the world were punished for their great sinfulness. Malars, Hamas mipaneim, there was idolatry, there was immorality, there was spilling of blood, there was the nichtam zardinam al gezel. The worst thing was they stole. They had lost the hishchis kol basar. They had lost the very notion of humanity, the notion, as Rabbi Schwab says, the notion that forget about the Torah, God, the Ten Commandments, the 7 laws of Noah. You just shouldn't want to steal. You shouldn't want to kill. They lost that whole sense of proportion. But if you think about it, there's another reality taking place here as well, and that is a reality of salvation. At the same time that there's a reality of destruction, there's also a reality of salvation. Is God turning to Noah to tell him that the world is being destroyed, which is a matter of judgment, Elohim, the name of God associated with judge? Or is God speaking, reaching out to Noah to tell him, Noah, I'm going to save you, which is an element of mercy. Hashem, the name Hashem, which reflects the mercy of God to allow existence to be here. Hashem means He is, He was, He always will be, despite the sinfulness, imperfection of humanity. So it's interesting. We find that God spoke to him twice. First in the name of Elohim, telling him that He's going to destroy the world. Yes, to build an ark. Yes, he'll be saved. But the point is the world will be destroyed. The beginning of his sentence is, Ketz kol basar ba'al fanai. The end of all humanity has come before me. Then there's a second section, chapter 7. It's Hashem, in the element of mercy. He says to Noah, come into the ark. The first words are to come into the ark. I'm going to save these different creatures. That's the essence of it. It's about salvation. So I started to think, as we experience reality, there can be two realities going on at the same time. Think about the Holocaust. For one person, his whole family's being lost. But for that same person, he's being saved at the same time. You have all these books about, I was supposed to be in the towers on September 11th. I was supposed to be there for a breakfast meeting, but my car stalled, so I couldn't make it. So that's the great miracle of my salvation on September 11th. And then I think, salvation on September 11th? Miracles on September 11th? On September 11th, 3,000 people died. It was a tragedy. It wasn't the case of miracles. Your miracle? What about his tragedy? And then you realize that there can be two realities at the same time. For one person, a great salvation, saved from the ravages of, you name it, fill in the blank, and a car accident, a great tragedy. And for the other person, death, the end of everything. What is this parsha about? Is the parsha about Hashem and His love for Noah and how He gave grace to Noah? Maybe Noah didn't even deserve it. Maybe Noah is really the same as everybody else. But He liked him, so He saved him. God gives a certain grace. He saw that there were some good things that would come from Noah. Is it about mercy? Or is it about destruction? If you think about the book of Job, the ultimate book that talks about the question of why people suffer in this world. He suffers. It's a book all about suffering. And the same person, at the end of the book, he has a wonderful life. So does that solve the previous problem? No, there's still a question of why these things happen, and the answer is that we don't know. But there's also a reality of his new family and how beautiful everything is. Every day there's the reality of the sun is rising, the stars are shining, the trees are green and the grass is green, and everything that's alive is alive. And there's also reality of the horrors of life and the horrors that go on, and all far-flung continents of the world, and the existential problems that so many of us face, difficulties that people face, unbelievable tragedies that people face, loss of children, all kinds of horrific things. It's two realities going on at the same time. And that's why the rabbis say that you have to thank God for the good and the bad. It's all happening at the same time. Sometimes someone's father passes away, leaves them $1 million. It's the great tragedy, the great trauma of a death of a parent, at the same time that he's inheriting $1 million. He has to say, thank God, the judge, and Shechianu v'Kimanu, all at the same time. All at the same time. Later on, if we think about Noah and the wine, Noah getting drunk in the vineyard, and you ask, what's going on there? Noah's a great righteous man, and he's got a vineyard. I think that the wine kind of reflects those two things. Wine can be a great celebratory drink. We're encouraged to have it on Shabbos, Yontif, when there's a wedding, the feasting after and during a wedding. On the other hand, there can be the coast of Nechama. There can be cups of comfort. The Gemara in Ksubas entertains the notion that maybe we should have 7 cups or 10 cups of salvation given out at the of comfort given out at a shiva, that we should drink cups to bring comfort to ourselves. It's new yain laoved. Give a drink to someone who's lost, has a loss. And Noah is not sure. Is he depressed? Is he drinking because of depression? Is he drinking out of salvation? Is it kos yeshuot? Is he lifting his cup of salvation and he was saved? It's not clear. Maybe it was the righteous Noah, not the Ish Adamah. Maybe it was the righteous Noah who planted the vineyard. He wanted to give thanksgiving to God. Ashir yishtu yain, in Shir el yain, he could only give song over a cup of wine. He wanted to have that wine so he could libate to God. He could lift his spirits. On the other hand, it's the wine it's the planting of a vineyard of an alcoholic, of someone who got deeply stoned and so drunk. Who knows what happened with him and his grandson, his son, Cham and Canaan. Horrific things. Because it's also the experience of someone who doesn't know how to deal with his misery and his sorrow, and who would. He, as Elie Wiesel pointed out, is the first survivor. I mean, here's someone who survived the destruction of everything he knew. No doubt many, many relatives, but he also survived. The joy of survival and the pain of the loss, it's all at the same time. Do we live in a world in which there's this great question, why is there suffering in this world? Well, there's also another question. At the same time, how does it all get so good? How did God give people like me, mediocre people like me, a good life? How does that happen? And it's all happening at the same time. Sometimes our lives are cut short, but how do we get that first part of our lives? There's a cup of salvation, a cup of comfort, a cup of celebration of the part of our lives that goes well. And then we need a cup of mourning, a cup to get us out of our depression, of our thoughts. Another cup for all the sorrows and troubles that we face. There are some people who are living in a world of a living hell, of thinking about the horrific things that go on and went on in their lives. And at the same time, there are other people living, breathing, having children, getting new jobs, excited about life and the prospects of it and things that have happened to them. And it's all in the same world. There's Hashem and there's Elohim, there's judgment and there's happiness, all in one world. It's a wonderful world. It's the most horrific world. It's all at the same time. There's a great mystery of sorrow, there's a great joy of life itself. And it's all at the same time. Same God, same world, same experience. One doesn't answer the other. They're just two realities that exist at the same time. Let's hope that we can learn to find the the glorious reality of the merciful God, at the same time that we appreciate the depth of sorrow and suffering of others, or sometimes of ourselves, at the same time. And let's give thanks to God, because He is good, for forever is His kindness, even as we recognize that God is also the judge of humanity. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfar Beth Lameth congregation for a discussion of the two realities. Join us each week for the discussion of the Parsha, various holidays, and thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.